Hello and welcome. This is Japan, and today we're going to rate all the men's wrestlers in the WWE and tell you guys how I feel like their year has gone. S being obviously really great, and D being like, "Ooh, I don't know." So we'll just start. So first off, we have AJ Styles. I think it's kind of a perfect person to start with. He's had some solid matches. I mean, obviously he had the big match against John Cena on a pay-per-view for the world title. That's always a good thing. And then he won the tag team titles with Dragon Lee, which I do believe there's a good opportunity that they might hold on to that. If they don't drop it to the Usos like within like the Netflix debut like season. If they don't drop it there, I think they hold on to it all the way until WrestleMania. I think it'd be the greatest idea for them to do it. One, AJ Styles retiring next year, unless they're going to give him a different title run somewhere else. This is the way to do it because it really puts over a lot of talent that on his way out too. So I'm gonna put AJ Styles in an A. I think you could put him a little bit lower, and I don't think you'd necessarily be wrong. I wouldn't put quite S because there was a lot of times where he just kind of was in pointless feuds and pointless matches, but it still is better than nothing. Next up is Tozawa. He had a few matches at the beginning of the year, like after WrestleMania, but he's just been a background player, and I guess Alpha Academy has just been kind of a background player. I'm going to put it down in D. Alistair Black came back to the WWE during this year. I think there's been some bright spots. I really do think they haven't really booked him really strong. So, like, I think there's still some stuff to go there. Obviously, he's been feuding with Damian Priest, which has been I guess, this okay feud that's been going on SmackDown. A little too long, but I guess because they added Rhea and Zelina Vega, it extended it a little bit. So I'm not necessarily mad with that. I think I'd put him in C. I think he's had some good opportunities, but not really anything to like be like, oh, he's had a great year. Then we have Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin. I'm going to put them together with the Motor City Machine Guns. They had a pretty decent start to the year, and then they've kind of just been there. They haven't really had a ton of matches, and they kind of put them in just random feuds where it's like, oh, they're the baby faces, so let's put them in there. But it's not been great, so I'm gonna put it down in C. I definitely don't think I would put it D just because they have had some opportunities, some title matches. It's just stuff in general, but it's just very few and far between. Then we have Garza, and I guess I'll put Berta with him. They did get the AAA tag team titles, but other than that, they really didn't give them much of anything. Like they show up every once in a while, and they had some matches. It felt like there's needed to be more. I'm gonna put them down in D. It's kind of sad because I really was vibing with them, and it can't be much worse in their group without having Santos Escobar there too, because they really haven't used either of them or anything. They've been using on more probably AAA shows these two than anything else, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but use them on SmackDown. There's plenty of space. Then we got Angelo Dawkins. Put him and Ford together. They kind of turned them heel to a certain extent and had them different things. They did have the tag team titles. They're like solid year. They've just this last part of the year is really trending down. I'll put them in B, but like if you told me that like you thought they were in C, I wouldn't be gonna argue with that because it's like they got the tag team titles and they had that massive street fight match that missed the WrestleMania card and stuff like that, where they were part of that and they did some great stuff and they really had some bright moments, but it just was few and far between after that. Then we got Apollo Crews. I think he was hurt most of the year. Hasn't been really used at all on WWE television. Now, Austin Theory is an interesting one because he was hurt. Like, he started off the year kind of being in that thing where he looked like he was going to turn face and turn on Grayson Waller. And I think everybody was like, okay, I'm down for this. And then they didn't do anything, and then he got hurt. And then now he's back as the masked villain that's going to be part of the Vision, maybe. I guess. I think I'd put him in C. I don't know why I wouldn't put him way at the bottom. He's had some spots, but for being injured and all this type of stuff, he's gotten on TV quite a bit. I guess I'd put it in C. Then we got Axiom. I'll put him with Nathan Frazier on this. They never got gold, unfortunately, here, but they did have a pretty solid start to the year on NXT, being the tag team champs. They got the call up. They were red hot. They just didn't pull the trigger on them, and I don't know why. Axiom and Nathan Frazier also have had great matches in this U.S. Open Challenge, so they've really had some good spots. I will put them in B. I think they've had an amazing year for being their first year on the main roster, so it's a little bit higher than most people, but I still think it's okay. Next up is Brock Lesnar. He's barely here. Obviously, he's been on two pay per views already, or PLEs. So I guess he's had that locked down with being on, Survivor Series and WrestlePalooza. I guess I'll put him in C. I don't think they need to be using him. Braun Breaker has had a phenomenal year being part of the Vision and looking like there's a very good possibility he could beat CM Punk for the heavyweight title. I don't know if it's gonna happen, but there's a good possibility. But he's been in the hottest storyline. He ended up being the reason why Seth Rollins is off TV, like, at least storyline related. And I think they're ready to put the rocket on him at some point and let him go. So I'm gonna put him up next here. Bronson Reed, he's been in a lot of big feuds. I'd put him in A. I think he's just slightly down. Obviously, I think they are way more on Braun Breaker, but Bronson Reed's got a lot of opportunities with his feud with Roman Reigns and stuff like that. So you really can't discount it. Then we had American Made. I'm gonna put all of them together. I'm gonna have to put them all in D. They just never gave them the time. They finally put them together. They finally did everything, and everything was going to be great. And Chad Gable got hurt. They stopped pushing the creeds. Ivy got a little bit of pushes here and there, but that was about it. But man, did this suck. Chad Gable with his Grande Americano gimmick was starting to do something. It's just all between injuries and stuff like that, just completely killed it. Then we got Carmelo Hayes. I really think he should have been John Cena's final opponent. It didn't happen. I think for the rest of the year, he's had some okay stuff here and there. I wouldn't say it's been great for him. So I'm going to put it in C. I kind of hate it because I think Carmelo is him and he would have that opportunities that any other person would have if they just give him the shot. Then we have CM Punk. He feuded with John Cena this year, got won the heavyweight title, got cashed in on, then won the heavyweight title later. So two championships in 1 year, I think, is a pretty solid way of putting CM Punk here. So I think you got to put him up in S tier. Current champion, currently. So I don't think you can discount that. Next up, Cody Rhodes. Obviously, had his big moment of being, turned on by John Cena. Lost the title at WrestleMania. Got it back at SummerSlam. He's carried the company in different ways. I don't think his title run right now is really worth anything right now because they haven't done anything with it. But he still had a phenomenal year. You got a belt on you like that. It's kind of hard to say that he doesn't deserve at least the top spot. Then we have this is Joaquin Wild. No, this is Cruz del Toro. Yeah, Cruz. All part of the LWO. I'd also put him down here in D. I'm kind of glad Dragon Lee got out of that vortex because I think it's going to be great for him. But these two, other than maybe the random AAA show and even an Evolve episode, haven't gotten anything. Next up is Damian Priest. Booked really weird this year. Just kind of like never-ending feuds, just kind of doing random stuff. Just really hasn't been a big fan, I guess, compared to other years. I think I'd put him in C. I feel like his feud work at least is like he's gotten places, but this was a world heavyweight title holder not that long ago, and they just kind of seem to have forgotten and don't feel like pushing them anymore. Then we'll go with the whole Wyatt Sick. Even though they're the tag team champions, they've completely ruined the tag division. This is why you don't put tag team titles on like acts like this because they just don't defend it. And they have big feuds, like they're, fighting the MFTs and like they fought, like they can fit and fight big groups, but like they don't need the tag team titles. Let the tag team titles go and do other stuff. But just for alone and the TV time, I'll put them in C because at least it's there. But man, has that just kind of been a letdown. I'll put all of them there. And then we got Dominic Mysterio, the most red hot person that ever existed, with like being over as a heel. Everybody wants to love to hate him type thing. Two IC title reigns this year. Been just kind of the focal point of Monday Night Raw, and had a pretty decent little mini feud with John Cena. Been on a lot of PLEs and a lot of stuff. AAA champion. I mean, you can't beat the year that he has. Honestly, if you're gonna think about anybody who had the of the best year type thing, it's probably Dominic Mysterio. Dragon Lee, he kind of got stuck and really was just doing random stuff. But once they put him with AJ Styles, I think it's really been phenomenal. God, I always do that. I don't know why. It's just like it fits so well, and I say it, and I'm like, this is dumb. Why did I use that one word? If all the words you could use, you'd be fine to say any other descriptor, but I say that because it fits too perfectly, and then it sounds dumb. But Dragon Lee, I think has had a lot better year because of that. I'll put him in a solid B. I mean, obviously, it's kind of only happened towards the end of this year, but I think he's still destined to go pretty well to maybe even retire AJ Styles at some point. So there could be something there. Drew McIntyre, I feel like he's always in the story. Like he's just always there, just not getting anything though that I think he wants. I think I'd put him in A just because of how much TV and how much stuff he's done, but I wouldn't want Drew McIntyre's year compared to some of the people. Like even in all the people in the A, I just think he was just not the person. Like oh yeah, he's had a bunch of title matches and all this, but not won anything and just kind of looked like a dope. His character of being a whiny like person has been terrible. The best part of the year was when he was doing like that blood hunter or bloodline hunter type gimmick where he was taking out the former bloodline members. That was pretty sick. That could have lasted a good like month and a half, if not 2 months, into a PLE against like even Roman Reigns or something. Like they could have really done something with it, but it just didn't work. Next up, we have a Grande Americano. The first part with Chad Gable, I think, was just kind of an okay thing. Got him a WrestleMania match. I'd put it in C. But if we were looking at it as a whole with like what Ludwig's done with it, he's gotten completely over on the AAA side of things and gotten even a lot of more time, like a lot more time on Raw than he probably would be getting anywhere else. I think I'd put him in B. If you have an argument to put him up higher, I don't think I'd disagree because there's a lot that good that came from all of this. Then we had I think this is Elton Prince, yeah. Um, I'm gonna be honest, it just with the injury, he just really didn't get it. They had a few bright spots. I thought there was a chance that they were gonna put the titles on Pretty Deadly, but they just didn't pull the trigger, and I don't think they're ever gonna ever get there unless they really change them up. I'll put Kip Wilson also there. He's gotten at least a little bit of backstage segments, but nothing of substance. Then we get the War Raiders, one of my like favorite tag teams, but they just kind of don't get enough screen time. Even when they had the titles, they didn't really get a lot of title defenses. Then they lost to the New Day, which I thought could be a good thing for the New Day as heels, but the New Day did nothing with it. They and the Viking Raiders or the War Raiders just never really got to recover, and the whole thing just kind of blew up the whole entire year. I'll put them in C because at least they did get the titles and a WrestleMania match. So I can't say it's the worst year ever, but I definitely think they deserved better. Finn Balor, I mean, at a good part of the year, he was just called Pin Balor. He did rack up some wins. This whole teasing of the Judgment Day breaking up, or him betraying, or him being the demon, has just literally been a nightmare. And I would put it in C just because of that, but because he made a little puppet of his demon thing and that AAA match, I think that definitely made it a little bit better for me. So I'm gonna put him up at B. Then we have Grayson Waller. After Austin Theory got hurt, I don't think they know what to do with him. They kind of have him in the New Day. It's just not worked for me. I like Grayson Waller, and I think he has a very great natural heel persona, and I just feel it's just kind of underutilized there. They just need to let him go out on his own or let him do more Grayson Waller effect and do other stuff. He needs to have a big feud, and I think it will work out really well. So I'm gonna put Grayson Waller down in D. Then we have Gunther, obviously retiring John Cena. I think automatically puts you up at an S, but he's had a solid year. Obviously had the title run before losing it to Jey Uso at WrestleMania, then him returning and getting it back from Jey Uso, and then losing to CM Punk. He kind of took some time off, and then obviously won the last time is now tournament, beat John Cena, so you can't really doubt that in S. Then we got Dragunov. I would only not put him up in the S tier just because he wasn't here the whole entire year. He came back as the end of Sami Zayn's open challenge for the U.S. title, got it off of him, and then he continued that open challenge thing. It is the brightest, biggest, greatest spot of SmackDown is to be able to watch him do his thing. So I'm absolutely happy. I'm going to put him up in A tier. Jacob Fatu, had a great first year there. I know he's out currently with injury, but I think altogether he's had some U.S. title reigns, some decent storylines. I think he's a solid A. I mean, that's a good thing. JC Mateo, honestly, other than being a part of Solo's group, I'm gonna put most of Solo's group down in D tier. I'm gonna be honest, it just really hasn't hit for me. I feel like they're like a weird thing where they just need to be pushing them, but like in a better way. I don't know what how to say it. It's kind of crazy when you get a natural five group of men, and I don't think they even once fought about them for war games, and that's kind of crazy. I know they're working against the Wyatt Sick right now, but it's just not really it for me. But I guess we'll see. I like Solo. I definitely like Solo, and I'll rate him separately. But his group just hasn't got it. And I really like Jeff Cobb before he went to WWE. The JC Mateo thing just really isn't it for me. I don't know. The name seems dopey. He seems dopey. Where is this big bruiser that we had? I think they just need to let him like loose on the WWE. I could see him somebody being like how Rhino was, where Rhino would just go out and do crazy stuff. Let him do that. Like just let him go on his own, be his own man, and I think it'll look a lot better. JD McDunn had really solid matches. I'm gonna put him next to Finn Balor. Obviously, they've had the tag team titles and stuff, but he's had some really good matches and really good spots. Even though he really hurt himself at one portion of the year, but it's been really good for him. Jey Uso, I mean, he won the Royal Rumble, won the title this year. I mean, it's hard to say to not put him in S tier, but again, I think they just blew out his creative, even though he's so still over with a lot of fans, and I just don't know what they're gonna do with him. So I'm gonna put him up in A. I can't put him in S tier, knowing how the booking is gonna get worse and worse as the year goes around. Jimmy has had a lot of TV matches, done a lot of different things. I think with just that stock in him, like being able to go out there and have solid matches, he's been a workhorse. So I'm gonna put him up in B. Joey Gargano, DIY in general has kind of taken a step back from last year, but I think most of the men's tag division has like over the year, especially in SmackDown's case, because they just stopped caring about the titles because they put it on people that aren't going to defend it. So I think I'd put him in Ciampa and C. They've had some solid feuds. I mean, obviously Ciampa is kind of feuding with the U.S. champion right now. Gargano's had a match. You know, like they've had some decent showings of being on TV, but I think that I'd put them with the rest of the tag division. The New Day, just they won the tag team titles. They did nothing with it. I thought it was really going to be their thing, and they just lost to the Usos, reuniting for the first time. So I think they're kind of cooked for the rest of the year and going into the next year. LA Knight's a weird one. A lot of people think that he's never really gotten that push. He never really gets the storyline. He never gets what anybody thinks he deserves. In a way, I could completely agree. In another way, he gets a lot of stuff, at least like opportunities like to be in that spotlight. Obviously, he hasn't gotten that like golden check mark to go next and get something big, but I do think he still has an opportunity to somewhere be there. I don't know if it's world champion. I really did like him in the U.S. title. I think if he got the U.S. title or even the Intercontinental title, I think would be the better thing to do. Obviously, even a tag team, I think would be a great idea whenever they have him back. I know they're kind of written him off for a little bit, but I think the opportunities, TV appearances, PLEs, everything that they've done, I think has could put him in a solid A. Like he's gotten the spotlight. Logan Paul, he's had some pretty high matches, and he's actually been on a lot more Raws than the majority of what other years he's been here. So I think I'd put him in a solid B. I'm not a big fan of Logan Paul as a person, as a wrestler. I think he's okay. It's just kind of a weird gray area to feel about because normally it's the other way around. I guess from what like me growing up with a lot of the wrestlers, I could hate the wrestler inside of it, but I didn't know his personality on the outside. So it's like I just knew I hated his character. But this one is like, oh, I don't really mind. Like I don't like his character at all, but like it doesn't bother me. It's one of those people that you're not gonna like anyways. But him outside, I don't like him either. So it makes it a lot harder. Ludwig Kaiser, if we minus the El Grande Americano thing, I think we put him down in D. He had a bright spot at the end of the last year, and they just never pulled the trigger on him. Almost, I thought he was coming back. He had a good stint in Japan, came back, did the AAA event, thought that was great, and then they immediately never used him, so I'm gonna have to go put him in D. Otis goes down there with his other Alpha Academy person. Penta has been in some really big spots. He's been on some pretty good TV stuff. I think it would be a solid B. I do feel like they should pull the trigger on him. I think they were going to reunite him with Ray at that AAA event with his brother, and then because he got hurt, they didn't do that because I think that's where they were naturally going to put them on the main roster at some point. And I think they were going to try to see how it looked and if it felt like that it would work in the WWE system, they were going to do it because I think that's kind of where they're destined to get their most success is maybe in the tag division. They should instantly pretty much get a tag team title opportunity and get the titles. I think they would be a pretty solid reign for next year. I'm assuming they're going to be going up higher. Pete Dunne kind of had the whole thing with R-Truth, with him calling him the wrong name, and then now is stuck in the Los Americanos, or even though we don't know it's them, but we know it's them, so I think that's terrible, and I'll put Tyler Bate next to him. They just were like, finally got back together, and finally could have had some momentum, and then they did this, so I don't know. R-Truth, I really can't put him at the bottom. He's had some matches with John Cena and different stuff. I'll put him in C. He got fired, and then everybody got so hot about it that he got brought back. Still kind of wild to me, to be honest, because it feels like they never did anything with him afterwards. I mean, I never want to see a man lose his job, but like, I mean, I just don't think they really did anything. Next up is Randy Orton. Obviously, had the feud with John Cena and some other big moments, like the WrestleMania match with Jelly Roll as his tag team partner. But I just feel like he's always underused. Like, there's just nothing going on for Randy Orton story wise. I know there'll be eventually a payoff, hopefully, with him and Cody Rhodes. But other than that, there's just nothing. So I'll put him in B because of like the high spots they put him in. But man, he should be up there on the top of the list. Ray Phoenix, I think I put him in C. Been in some spots. I just think he has really bad luck. I think he was going to probably win the tag team titles with Andrade. Andrade screwed them over, and it just didn't work out for him. And he's obviously was maybe going to be back with his brother at the AAA event, but he's hurt, so it's just going to be him and Rey Mysterio. So I don't know. I just feel like he's just had some bad luck this year. Speaking of Rey Mysterio, he's next. He was injured majority of the year, missed WrestleMania because of it, and he had been out for quite a long time. Done some solid spots. I don't think I'd put him in D because at least he's here back and already back to like a weekly TV appearance. I mean, I think that's a pretty good spot to be in. Next up, Roman Reigns. Worked more than he has most of the other years. I think for that in particular, I'll put him in B. I think Roman has this like just great aura to him, and pretty solid ring and great on the mic. But he's just not here enough for me to ever invest in him. I just don't care when he comes back. Like it's like, oh cool, Roman's back, and then like he's gone for another 3 weeks. I mean, we just saw Roman back for War Games, and we probably won't see him back until Royal Rumble, and then we'll see him, maybe at the Elimination Chamber if he didn't win the Royal Rumble. That's just not it for me. Then we got Rusev. Not really had the momentum coming back, but he's had some pretty solid feuds and different stuff. So I'll put him in C. I can't say he's at the bottom because he's done some crazy stuff. He beat Tozawa, he beat Otis. He's gone trying to get to John Cena. And the last time is now thing. He's had feuds with Dominic Mysterio. He's had some big matches and been on TV quite a bit. So I can't really knock any of that. Then we have Sami Zayn. Had an up and down year. Obviously got the U.S. title at during the like summertime. Had the challenge that really worked out pretty well for him. I think that was his best work that I've seen in the last couple of years, just because it was good matches, good just that's I think the thing for Sammy. He's that underdog. The only issue I had with those matches is that every match was like that. He just was like getting beaten down, gave so much to the other wrestler, and then he had to take it back to try to get the win, and it just didn't quite work for him because it always felt like he just looked a little weak. But I think overall, I would still put that as a success. So I'll put him up in B. Santos Escobar, at one point it looked like he was going to get released. They never used him afterwards, even though they re-signed him. So I guess D. Seth Rollins, unfortunately, had 2 injuries this year, one fake, one real, and it kind of screwed up a lot of his year. But man, that cash in is so iconic. Money in the Bank winner, he was at WrestleMania, all of this stuff. I think you have to put him up in S tier. Sheamus, he started off having a lot of matches, and it really felt like he might have been in that IC title type stuff. Didn't go with that, and then they just kind of left him alone. And he's just had some matches and some feuds every once in a while, so I'll put him in C. Nakamura has not really been regularly on TV anymore. I don't know why. I mean, he's recently been on more, but before that, he had big gaps. It just kind of sucks. I'm going to put it down in D because I think he's pretty solid. Then we had Solo. I think Solo had, probably one of his best years. His group is hit or miss, but him having the U.S. title, having his feud with Jacob Fatu, even fighting Roman Reigns at the beginning of the year with for the Ulafala. He's had some really major storylines this year. I'm gonna put him in B. I think you can't discount him for what he's been doing. Then we have the Miz. I feel bad to put him in D because I feel like he's had a great year. They just really don't give him much, but he's really put Carmelo in a good spot, and I think that like that's a good thing. That's a really good thing to put a young guy into a better position, and I think it worked out really well. And I think they really just need to figure out something to do with the Miz. I really do think like a title run or something would really be good because he just enhances people, and I think it's just kind of crazy that they don't really want to use that right now. I can see him using like just having something and having like that U.S. Open Challenge, even like something like that, and getting some pretty good bangers out of it. So I'll put it in C. We'll see what happens. That is my rating. It's a long video, but I figured I'd go for everybody on the roster. I will do all the women next or before this, depending on when it comes out. And I will see you guys on the next one. Bye, guys.